My hands were shaking as I clicked post. On the screen, video proof of my boss screaming at an employee so viciously her knees buckled. Screenshots of threats. Voices of those who couldn't stay silent any longer. I knew there was no going back after this. For years, Gregory had destroyed people, but what happened in the next 48 hours changed everything. Including my understanding of justice. My name is Jake Sullivan, and the day Vortex Media called me, I nearly woke up the entire neighborhood. After sending out 300 yes, I counted resumes, getting dozens of rejections, and spending months in a cheap rented showbox with a broken AC that never worked, this was my ticket to a real life. An office in downtown Chicago. A salary that could finally dig me out of debt. A company name on my resume that would make recruiters actually take me seriously. I felt like a king. At the interview, Gregory Hale, the marketing director, struck me as someone I wanted to learn from. Sharp, with the charisma of a stand-up comedian, he effortlessly explained why his company was the future of the industry. When he said, "We only take people who are willing to give 200%, I nodded like my life depended on it. I was ready. I was fired up. First day on the job. I showed up 15 minutes early, in a new shirt, with a notebook full of ideas. And there it was, my dream office, glass, steel, the smell of expensive coffee. I was grinning like an idiot until I heard that voice. "You call this a design? Looks like something my 5-year-old nephew slapped together." Gregory was looming over the desk of a young designer, Emily. His face, which had been all smiles for a client on Zoom just a minute ago, was now twisted with quiet fury. She muttered something in response, but he cut her off. "Fix it. And if it's still this pathetic by lunch, pack your things." Her office door closed. A minute later, Emily walked out, eyes red, lips pressed tight. She moved fast, like she was afraid someone would see her crying. Next to me, a guy from IT, Mark, let out a sigh and muttered, "Don't sweat it. He's always like this." I nodded, but something inside me twisted. Always? That night, I tried to convince myself, maybe he was just having a bad day. Or maybe her design really was that bad. It happens. But the next day, Gregory ripped into an intern for asking him to repeat instructions. On day 3, he tore apart the sales team for not being aggressive enough. And by day 4, I realized it wasn't a fluke. This was the system. By month 2, I hated Mondays. Not like normal people do, with mild annoyance and caffeine cravings. No. I'd wake up in a cold sweat on Sunday nights, knowing in a few hours, I'd have to face him again. Gregory had turned our office into his own kingdom of absurdity. He'd make me redo a presentation 5 times. 5! Each round, he'd find a new flaw, too creative, too boring, too bold, too safe. And in the end? He'd go with the first draft. He lived for public humiliation. Once a week, he'd gather the team and dissect our mistakes like we were misbehaving kids, not grown-ass professionals. "Jake," he'd say, "eyes like ice, do you even know what results-driven means? Or are they just paying you for those pretty eyes?" The nervous laughter from co-workers. Fake. Because everyone knew, tomorrow, it could be them. But the worst was what happened to Mike from accounting, a quiet guy who always said hello and never complained. Gregory ripped him apart over a discrepancy in a report. "If you've got a problem with it, the door's right there," he announced, loud enough for the whole floor. "You're replaceable." Mike went pale. His baby had just been born. I stayed quiet. So did everyone else. Because I had student loans. Rent. A dream of a decent life that now felt like a bad joke. But the real hell? Hating myself. For enduring it. For not pushing back. For plastering on a smile every morning and saying, "Yes, Gregory." Of course, Gregory. I'd become exactly what I used to despise. And the scariest part? I was getting used to it. That day started like any other, 5:30 a.m. restless sleep, 6 o'clock coffee on an empty stomach, 6:30, checking email with a silent prayer please not him, but at 7:52, when I could already see the office building, life decided to throw me a curveball, a 6-mile traffic jam from hell because of some accident. I was pounding the steering wheel, screaming in my closed car, calling the office, no one picked up. 10 minutes late. Gregory was waiting for me by the elevators. Well, if it isn't our little superstar. His voice echoed way too loud in the empty lobby. Does Sullivan think the rules don't apply to him? He didn't even let me take off my coat. Dragged me straight into the open office where 30 people pretended not to be watching. Pay attention, everyone. Gregory spread his arms like a game show host. Behold a rare specimen, an employee who thinks Vortex Media is daycare. Someone's nervous giggle sounded more like a hiccup. Should we get you a juice box? Help you wipe your nose? I dug my nails into my thighs so hard I found bruises later. My ears were burning, my lips betraying me with their trembling. But the worst part? I scanned the room for support, and only saw people looking at their shoes. In the bathroom, I threw up my breakfast. When I came out, Lisa was there by the sinks. That quiet girl from marketing who always left early. You're not the first, she said without looking in the mirror, just scrubbing her hands under icy water. Last year he put Alex from analytics in the hospital. Panic attacks. Water dripped onto her nails, bitten down to the quick. But if we don't speak up. She finally looked up, and for the first time I didn't see fear in her eyes, just rage. This never ends. I started gathering evidence methodically, like I was prepping for a lawsuit. The recorder in my breast pocket activated every time he came near. Screenshots of threatening emails were neatly filed in date-stamped folders. Every humiliating incident was documented down to the minute. Lisa turned out to be surprisingly resourceful. She brought in Gregory's former assistant who'd kept records for the past 3 years. Found an IT specialist who recovered deleted files containing his abusive rants. Even the security guard agreed to testify about physical altercations. We met at a dive cafe 3 blocks from the office. No digital trails, just cash and burner phones. I felt like a character in a spy novel, though all I was doing was preparing to tell the truth. On publication day, I reread the piece 5 times, verified every link, every piece of evidence. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, I almost backed out at the last moment. But the thought of hearing his voice again tomorrow made me hit publish. The first 40 minutes were agony. No reaction. Then came the first message from a stranger, oh my God, I worked with this guy in 2018. By evening, the story went viral. At 10 p.m., I got a call from a Business Insider reporter. At 11:30, an unknown number flashed on my screen. You take this down tonight or I'll destroy you, his voice like grinding metal. For the first time in a year, I felt no fear. Try me, I said, and hung up. The next day, corporate investigators showed up at the office. A week later, Gregory was placed on administrative leave. 27 days after that, an official mutual separation agreement. No apologies, of course. Just disappearance. At our goodbye dinner, Lisa asked if I feared retaliation. I showed her an email from a competitor's HR director, your integrity is impressive. Let's discuss an opening. Now I have a different job. A decent boss. Human working conditions. But sometimes I wake up screaming, dreaming I'm back in that office, staying silent again. Here's what I know now, tyrants exist only through our silence. Every no spoken, every truth exposed, that's another nail in their coffin. I'm no hero. I was just tired of being afraid.